Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio World. This is our special Friday broadcast of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. It's me, your host, Tony B. Coming up very shortly will be Ty Dow. If you remember or don't remember, Ty Dow was one of the first persons identified as COVID positive in South Seattle. At this time, there wasn't even any information coming out about it impacting in the community. And Ty thought that it was his responsibility to let folks know. He wrote about it. He shared information about where he had been so that if you had come in contact with him, you could be aware of the potential. And he came on the radio station and shared information again and his experience. And we said we would check back with him. And today is the day that we are going to do that. Ty, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Ty, thanks for joining. Ty, I'm gonna make a quick announcement here before we start talking. And again, during these times of the coronavirus, a lot of things have been flipped upside down. Well, coming this Sunday is Mother's Day, and a lot of families, because of the stay-at-home situation, are not going to be able to connect. So this is what you can do. If you would like to say hello to your mother, from 2 o'clock to 2:30 on Rainier Avenue Radio, it's going to be shout-outs. That's just it. Shout-outs to moms. We don't want to have everybody trying to call in at once because it might get difficult, so we're going to make it easy for you. You can record your shout-out to your mother. Talk about why she's so special to you, something that you remember, fond memories of something that she did, anything special about your mother. Record it on your phone and then just email it to us at rainieravenue.world@gmail.com. That's again rainieravenue.world@gmail.com. And we'll be playing those Mother's Day shout outs again from 2 to 2:30 on Sunday from everywhere. Now, we'll also be doing some live ones as well, so we'll give you a Zoom number so that you can call in and maybe we can get your mom on and you can get a face-to-face going. So again, at 2 o'clock to 2:30 this Sunday, we'll be doing live Mother's Day shout-outs. If you want to get yours in early, here's what you have to do. Just record it on your phone or any other device and then just email it to us. And then we will play that to celebrate moms and what moms do. And this is going to be a little bit different because a lot of times, as we know, folks go out. It is the busiest day of the year when it comes to restaurants. It's going to look a little different this year, but we want to make sure you at least have an opportunity to give a shout out to your mom on Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Ty, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How about you?
Under the circumstances, Ty, I'm fantastic. Let's go back a little bit, Ty, and if you wouldn't mind, again, sharing the story about how you initially found out you were COVID positive, COVID-19, and what transpired during that time.
Yeah. So March 4th, that Wednesday, I started feeling sick. Typical flu symptoms, it seemed like. Fever, cough, but most of all, I was exhausted, lots of fatigue. And I was, felt that way straight for about a week. To the point where even though I was able to work from home, I just I didn't have the energy to turn on my laptop. So after about a week, I contacted my doctor. Actually, when I first got sick, I contacted my doctor and they said, only certain criteria were getting tests. And then a week later, I said, I haven't gotten any better. I've had my fever pretty constant, except it went up to a little higher than normal. And it was starting to feel more concerned. And they were able to refer me to a test, got accepted to it. Took the test on Thursday the 12th. And then I found out on Saturday that I was positive for COVID-19. And then I started feeling better. About a couple days, maybe a week later, fever went away. My fatigue had gone down a lot, so I was able to start working again. I still had low energy, but at least enough to, work from home. And then I clean the house during quarantine and whatnot. my cough was still lingering for a while, and then eventually, a couple weeks later, my cough finally started to go away, and then I asked about possibly doing a follow-up test. At first my doctor said that it wasn't going to be available, but I happened to ask the doctor who administered the test, and um, they started doing tests. A polyclinic was expanding their tests, and started doing drive-through tests, and I was able to get it on the first day that they were doing them. And then about a few days later, I got a call, and they said I was negative. So,
Well, first of all, I'll let you continue, but congratulations. We know now that a lot of times that isn't the case.
yes, and and the testing doctor and my own doctor, after I talked to them, they were very happy to see that I was okay. They called it a mild case, and after everything we've been seeing on the news and media, that yeah, even though I feel like I kicked my butt for a good 2 weeks, it's definitely milder than what a lot of people have gone through. So.
Well, I just got a ton of questions for you, Ty. So I thank you for coming on the program. But let's start with this one. Folks are saying that there is the potential of the possibility that if you have had COVID, that you may have antibodies. There's also some question about whether if you've had it, whether that prevents you from having it. Now, on the other side of this, it just is what it is. You've also got folks in our society who are saying, go out there and get this so that we can build up an immune society. And from your perspective, what has happened with you since you've had it? Has there been any interest? Do you know if you've had any antibodies, or what's kind of gone on? Has there been interest in how your recovery has been since you were one of the early cases in this?
Yeah, actually, funny you asked. The week I got the test, I got a letter from the CDC, uh, strongly suggesting to get tested to see if I can donate plasma. So I hit up Bloodworks Northwest because that's who they referred me to. But I had also heard a friend of mine told me that UW Medicine was also doing some research about this too. So I also sent them a message, and both of them got back to me about getting about being screened for that. So just last week, I actually saw both of them on separate days, got my blood drawn to see if I have antibodies and to see if those antibodies can be used for potential, I don't know, vaccine might not be the right word, but potential use for people who are having a hard time recovering from it, or maybe and whatnot. So one was a research study, and the other one was for specifically to see if I can donate plasma or not. So as far as your question about the antibodies, I asked that to my doctor and the testing doctor too, and they say that based on other viruses, it's very likely that I have antibodies. So I guess the screening I did it may inform me if I have them or not, but I couldn't tell you to be sure. And they believe from previous viruses that have gone on in our society that their human body will build antibodies for that. They did say that the chances of being immune to it for a time are very possible, but one of the things is that everybody builds antibodies differently, right? So now the question is, have I built enough antibodies where I feel like I can be out there and safe and not catch it again? I don't really know, to be quite honest. I feel safer, but that's just a feeling. But at the same time, I'm still going out with my mask, and because I don't know for sure. Like it's kind of like how when something like 99% of people when they get chickenpox can never get it again. There's still some who do. At least I'm no expert, but that's what I've heard. So, but as far as this particular thing, they won't say for sure, okay, you're immune, okay, you have antibodies, but they do say, if I have enough antibodies, my body built them up, if I was to catch it again, I'd be likely that it would be milder. Um, and but the other thing is, immunities don't necessarily last forever either. So maybe I'm only immune for a year, maybe I'm immune for longer than that. I don't know. Um, and because this is so new, they don't have those answers at the time yet either. I mean, it hasn't even been around for a year yet. So, yeah.
And Ty, once again, we appreciate you sharing your story with us as you're going through this process. My guest again is Ty Dow, one of the first folks identified COVID positive from our South Seattle community. And again, I think he's dating back to March 1st. March 4th is when things started happening. By March 12th, you had gotten back the test, and it was positive. And Ty, do you ever feel like why me? I mean, what do you think about now, especially how this is unfolding, and we've seen where at one point it was just in Kirkland, and even when we were in Seattle, we weren't even being told that this could impact South Seattle. And we talk to you, we find out it's in our community. Now we know. Again, a lot of different things about this. Even before then, the ways that we were catching it, they were saying that, well, you got to be within 6 feet. It might be droplets. And then it was, okay, this thing can survive on surfaces for maybe 9 days, maybe 13 days. It may linger in the air for longer than that. We're also finding out that it's causing other complications that folks who've had it, some of them may never fully recover. And again, the death toll has just risen exponentially. For you, there wasn't a lot of information at the time that you became COVID-19. Do you ever ask yourself, like, why me?
I don't. That I haven't asked that. I I almost, in a weird way, have a little bit of survivor's guilt, and quite frankly, because there's like, the stories of people who got it and had to deal with it much worse than me. I feel kind of lucky that, I feel lucky for a lot of things. I feel lucky that, yeah, I got through this. I feel lucky that I don't seem to have lingering respiratory systems right now. I mean, respiratory issues right now. Like, I go walk my dog. When we go across the park, we run across the grass, and I'm like, okay, I feel okay. A little out of shape from being in quarantine for as long as I was, but you know, uh, I'm not wheezing. I'm not. I don't feel as bad as some other things I've read. And I mean, obviously people have died, but even people who haven't, they their coughs or their breathing seems to have been affected worse than mine. So, um, so yeah, I feel like I never felt like why me. In fact, the first week I was sick, I didn't even 100% believe I even had it. So, I just kind of had to roll with the punches on that.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Again, my guest is Ty Dow. Uh, Ty, what would you say? Again, we're in a different phase now. We're talking about reopening. People are tired of being locked down. What is your position on this? You have a unique perspective, as again, even though your cases were mild, you were positive. What is your feeling right now on this whole thing of, well, we're about to open businesses back up and folks need to work. We need to get some things started, but then there's also a very vulnerable population out there. There is still no vaccine. There is still no cure. What are your thoughts on where we are at right now in society with this virus?
That's a that's a good question, and I have thought about it. So, like, I still don't know how I got it. I don't know who had it before me. I'm still the first person I know who got it. And a lot of people who know me, I'm still the first person they know that got it, or at least, got it in positive and whatnot. So, that element of it makes me feel like, well, if this is something to take seriously, especially if we don't know where you got it. Like, when you think about, like, I mean, there's other viruses that we've had where you can kind of trace back, all right, this is how I got it. This is who had it before me, and I was able to transmit it to me. I have no idea. I gave up thinking about how I got it, and to the point where the doctors never asked me about trace contact, because how would you be able to when you were asymptomatic for at least a week or so before and some people get it and are completely asymptomatic. So and I think that's what makes it kind of scary when you think about it. I don't scary is not the right word, but makes you have to be concerned, because you could have it and not be sick and not. So I think we have to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. I definitely understand wanting to reopen. God, I'm tired of being at home all the time, and the only place I can go to is the store. So and people's businesses, a lot of this, small businesses, people need to be able to make a living, and but people have to be careful too. So the one thing I can say is that right now is that I trust the governor. I think he's listening to experts. I read a really good article in Atlantic that kind of went behind the scenes of what he did before this kind of became a big thing, and I feel like he's making the most informed decisions he can to try to get the state to reopen, but to stay safe and minimize the impact of the virus, while trying to make sure that we can start doing business again and living our lives the way we, without having to stay at home all the time. So I don't know. I don't have a perfect answer for that, because it's one of those where we're not really going to know till we get there, right? So
yeah, Ty, I don't know that there is a perfect answer, man. We just appreciate your answer. What does going forward look like to you? Does this change your thoughts going forward? Do you, from now on, do you feel like, hey, I'm gonna be wearing gloves and mask, and I'm gonna be super conscious about my environment, or for you, do you think, okay, I've had this, I had a mild case, I want normal back, and I want the way things were?
Well, I do want normal back, and I'm still wearing my mask when I go to the store and whatnot. So, but moving forward, yeah, I don't know what it would take for me to start feeling normal about it. Somebody actually asked me, one of my bandmates recently asked me, what would the world look like for me to be able to be okay with the band getting back together just for rehearsals, because we can't do that right now. And I didn't really have a good answer for that. My answer was really, I don't know. And it's kind of have to take it day by day to kind of see how that is. I can't even say, okay, exactly what the governor says is the right answer, is what would make me feel better about that, because I think it'll help, and I think seeing less the curve go down. What do you call, flatten the curve? Yeah, so the curve flattening. I think that would help, and I really won't know until I get there, to be quite honest. But yeah, I want to get out there. I want to go. I want to take my lady and my dog out to the shore and go just hang out at the beach for a while. That's what I want to do.
Do you know, was this thing that we now know is very important, and they call it tracking and tracing, was that in place, or were you ever contacted? That's one question about who you'd been in contact with. And again, kudos to you for right away saying, you know what, instead of hiding about this and feeling shame and not wanting people to know, you immediately said, hey, I've been in contact with people. Are you aware of anyone that you came in contact with or who contracted and became positive as well?
I'm not, actually. I think a lot of it's just that because people weren't able to get tested. Some people did come to me and say, I think I might have gotten sick before you got sick, but I don't know if it was that. And some people have gotten sick a little after, but I don't know anyone who got tested and positive. I know friends of friends who did, but no one in my particular circle.
And again, Ty, I mean, I don't want you to take offense to this, but it was almost like you were patient zero for South Seattle.
I could have been, I don't know. Who knows? When I got the positive test and I looked up at the Department of Canada, the Department of Health's records, it was under 400 that were tested positive at that point. So, yeah, who knows?
Well, Ty, again, thanks for joining us. Man, we'll just keep checking with you, because again, there may be a way that you can continue to be of service to our communities by sharing where you're at in this process, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. So, I think more information that's out there for the community, the better.
And I certainly want to give you the opportunity for last words here to folks who have heard you before and found out about it, and now you're back and they're hearing you again, and just the sharing of the story. Anything that you want to say to our listening audiences right now, Ty?
Yeah, the biggest thing about this is we have to watch out for each other. At this point, I'm not scared for myself. I'm scared for everyone else around me. I don't want my neighbors to catch it. I don't want my parents to catch it. I don't want my family members or my loved ones or friends or any of that. And partly because we've seen the stories that people hit it much worse than what I did. If everybody who got it just like about with the severity that I did, then I wouldn't be as worried. But people are dying, and it's not just the elderly, and it's not just people with pre-existing conditions anymore. So it seems like we're learning something new every day, and it's about it, and it's tough to know. It's tough, it's tough not to know what's going on or what a couple months look like from now. But we just got to hang in there and look out for each other.
Thanks, Ty. If you can, stay with us, man. A little later on in the show, Josephine Howell, who's also COVID-19 positive, will be joining us. And her story is turning out a little different than yours. And she'll be joining us, and I'm going to let her tell it. But congratulations to you on getting through this, Ty.
Thank you so much, Tony.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio, our special broadcast of the impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. It's me, Tony B. This weekend will be Mother's Day. The coronavirus certainly will have an impact on folks going out and doing those big Mother's Day brunches, where for the biggest day of the year for restaurants as we celebrate mothers. But hey, at Rainier Avenue Radio, we're doing what we can. We got you to the extent that we can. All you got to do is record yourself on your phone. Everybody's got a phone. Send it to us at rainieravenue.world@gmail.com, and we'll play that shout out to your mom back between 2 and 2:30 on Sunday. So between 2 and 2:30, Daniel Bellis will be here in studio, and he'll be maybe talking to some of you. We'll also give you an opportunity to Zoom in, and then maybe you can talk to your mother during Zoom. Or maybe you can call in live at that time. But if you want to get a jump on it, just record yourself. Tell us how you feel about your mom, something that you remember, a fond memory, something that makes your mom so special to you. Send it to us, and we'll play it not only for your mom, but for the entire world to listen to, right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Again, send that to Rainier Avenue Radio.world@gmail.com. Your shout out to your mom. We'll play it back on Mother's Day. We'll be back right after this.
What up, y'all? DJ Dirty Harry hanging out with my guys at Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check them out.
The Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, empowering communities and changing lives. The Urban League has been there to serve when our community is at its lowest. It's never mattered what the crisis was. The systemic oppression remains constant for those most vulnerable. Here at the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, we'll be temporarily adjusting our hours of operation and available services. If you are in need of resources, we recommend that you give us a call at 206-461-3792. To make an appointment, press 0 and speak with the receptionist. Walk-in hours will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. And hey, we'll gladly work with you via phone as best as we can if you're exhibiting any signs of illness to assist you with information to save your home, find you a place to sleep, or connect you to job opportunities. The Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. That's 206-461-3792.
Sunday nights from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's K-Fox Night Beat with DJ Nastiness.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is the news on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Friday, Governor Jay Inslee revealed more details about Washington's plan to reopen the economy during the COVID-19 pandemic, and included some major modifications to the way restaurants normally operate. According to Seattle Eater, during phase 2 of the plan, which would be implemented at least 3 weeks after phase 1, which began yesterday, restaurants would be allowed to have a dine-in service again. However, it would only be at 50% capacity or less, and tables could not have more than 5 people at them. In phase 3, restaurants could have about 75% of capacity, and bars could reopen at 25% capacity. Only in phase 4, likely months from now, could all establishments be open at full capacity. Seattle now has an emergency evacuation plan should engineers decide the West Seattle Bridge is about to collapse. According to My Northwest, the cracking has slowed since cars were removed from the bridge in March, but the cracking still remains active, albeit at a slower rate. New monitoring equipment is set to be installed in mid-May, which will give engineers a much better handle on the severity of the situation and changes in real time. And that's your news on Rainier Avenue Radio.
You're listening to